Hey, this is Dr. Kelly Cagle, and for season 3, we're doing things a little differently because we know that a healthy and happy dad and mom starts with a healthy and happy husband and wife. So I decided to bring along my husband, Josh, as co-host so we could share some real life stuff of the ways that we learn how to fight to make our marriage thrive. You are listening to season 3 of the Parenting IQ podcast, Learning to Fight. Hey, Parenting IQ. We are here live with Dr. Kelly Cagle and Josh, my husband.
Hey, guys.
We're so happy that you've joined us for another episode. And before we get going, talking about parent engagement, we do want to say that if you are enjoying these episodes, we hope that you are. I know that we have grown a whole lot from even just spending these times being intentional about these conversations. And so if you have also experienced growth, we would like you to subscribe to Parenting IQ podcast, whether you're listening on Apple or Spotify, and go a step further and share this episode with a friend that could really learn from parent engagement and also marital engagement. That's what we're going to start our conversation today with is, babe, you know that you obviously, I'm not from this country. And I feel like every time, stop. I feel like every time that I use the dictionary to look up words, it generally is just for the mere fact that I'm not, the English wasn't my first language. And just like when I was writing these notes about engagement, engagement is a word that we use all the time. It's a word that's commonly used in my research, parent engagement with academics and things like that. But then I stopped to think, what does it really mean? I mean, I know what it means, but then I was like, let me take it a step further and figure out what the dictionary, like the actual meaning of this word is. And I came across this one definition that was to attract and hold fast. And I said, wow, when we talk about parent engagement or engagement in life, you want to attract and you want to hold fast to that person.
So can you just go ahead and tell me and our listeners, how do you say engagement in Portuguese?
Oh my gosh, don't put me on the spot like that.
No, you're on the spot. So how do you say engagement in Portuguese?
If you want to talk about engagement as like you're engaged to one another as a marriage.
Just tell me.
It's noivo is when.
Noivo. So remember that, everybody. Noivo.
Well, say noivo is you're my engaged, like my betrothed. I don't know.
Okay.
Oh
all
my
right.
gosh.
Well, we're going to roll with that.
Okay.
So engaged, nuevo or novo.
You're
all right.
like bringing Spanish over here.
Hey, y'all pray for me because I'm trying to learn some Portuguese over here. So, but yeah, no, you're right. Absolutely. We want to visit with you guys about engagement. And the question would be, why do we want to talk about that word? And how could we attract and hold fast the people in our lives that are, our circle? Obviously, number one would be our marriage. Number two would be our kiddos and family. And, a lot of times I think about the word engagement. We all use it a lot of times when it's, hey, we are engaged, marriage couple going to happen, things like that. And yet, what I wanted to break down inside that would be, how we in life, when we decide to engage one another or say, hey, we are engaged, what we're saying in so many words is, hey, there's a big world out there and we're deciding that we are going to do life together. There's nobody else. It is us. We're going to walk this process out until we're married.
Yeah.
And we are going to attract. We're going to hold fast until we get to this. Well, a lot of ways would be starting point, but I guess in that moment would be a finish line of our completion of our future vows and all the fun things. And so engagement is something that we have to check in, right? We got to have a mental check-in of life is not just blasé. It doesn't just happen. We're not just waiting for time to pass by. We are having this mental purpose, this mental engagement, whether it's with our family, with our friends, with coworkers. You could take this to any place.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. And as you're saying, during the engagement time, you are really in tune and you are goo goo eyed and all the things.
I'm still goo goo eyed, babe.
Oh, but
I'm just
okay.
saying.
Well, okay.
Novel.
You keep but for real, once a lot of times when you are officially married, then you may not attract or try to attract each other as much because you feel like you have attracted,
Yeah.
but it really takes intentionality to leave that as a present tense and not past tense. Like I
That's really
attracted
good.
you and I held fast to you,
Mm-hmm.
but day in and day out, I have to continue to hold fast to you. In fact, I'm reading a book right now by uh, Robert Morris. And I'm sorry, I'm going to have to look back up and I'll write it in my notes, the name of the book. But he's talking about the lust right now is the part that I'm reading. And it's about purpose and really getting to the purpose and how a lot of times lust comes in the way of reaching your purpose because it's easy. And obviously he's writing it from a male's perspective, but he just threw in some uh, porn statistics for men and women both,
Mm.
that in the church for Christians and non-Christians. So, a lot of times I think it boils down to this is that you have not continued, and I'm not saying that that's the root of it, okay? Not the root of the problem here. There's
Yeah, I
more
get
to
it.
this. However, if the married couple, if the couple, each person within that unit would set aside their own tasks, because I know I'm task oriented. And a lot of times I get caught up in those tasks, but I would just say, you know what? I need to attract Josh and I need to hold fast to Josh as my husband and not allow laziness. I don't have another word to say, but comfort, right? Like
I
we're
think what you
here.
said to check off a list to me is a big thing. I mean, especially when you're thinking task oriented right over there, that that could be, oh yeah, we're married, done. We're doing this, done. We're waiting
Yeah.
for our first year anniversary, done. All these things to where, yeah, these tasks become the motive versus the relationship. And there's so many things everybody understands, I would think, as we're talking, that so many things try to rob our time.
Yeah.
They try to steal our joy. They try to and a lot of it's not even bad things. We're not here just saying everything's bad, but what we
Okay,
are.
but don't tell them what our last part is about this episode.
Yeah, I
What's
get it.
stealing our or pulling for our disengagement?
Yeah, I
Let's
get
say
it.
with what the things are that keep us engaged.
Yes, ma'am. So as I'm learning in this new podcast stuff that I'm been called to, I'm trying to engage my wife's topics, guys. So y'all pray for me, in all this. But seriously, I think that whenever we are looking at how can we as a married couple take the time and the initiative to put our marriages first.
Hmm.
That's a choice. We all have choices,
Yeah.
and many times when we're talking about this word engagement, we all feel like we're busy. We feel like, man, I just
Yeah.
don't have the time to do this, or I wish I had more time to do that. And a lot of us, we all have to recognize that we all have 24 hours.
Hmm.
Not one person has some secret,
Hmm.
where they're getting more time in a day. And so we have to understand that we're held accountable to that time. At the end of our days, there's not very many
Hmm.
of us that are going to wish we had, more time to play sports, or we had more time to do this, that, or the other. We're going to wish that we had more time to spend with the people that mattered
Yeah,
most.
for sure.
And so, how can we, in these crazy seasons that we have with raising kids, it's a beautiful thing, it's
Yeah.
so colorful. How can we still engage one another, not only for our own benefit, but what are we doing? We are also helping model to our
Yeah,
kiddos
for sure.
what we want marriages, or what marriages should look like.
The other day I was talking to a friend, and he is one of the dads of our soccer team, Levi's soccer, whatever mates. And he was saying there's something that Shannon and I, is his wife. He said, there's one thing that we want to leave for our kids. And the first one is that we want them to have a better marriage than we do. And I was like,
Hmm.
wow, that's actually really cool. And then he said, we want them to be happy. And then he said, we want them, and I can't remember the third one, but that one really stuck out to me. It's, oh my gosh, what married couple wants has that as a goal? Like he said, these are our goals for
Hmm.
our children. And he said, we want our kids to have better marriages than we do. And not he wasn't saying that they have a bad marriage. They were just saying we want them to be even happier,
Sure.
even more fulfilled. And a lot of times, I'm sure we've said this before, but a lot of times you look at your parenting that you had and you think, oh, these are the things that I don't want to do. Like check, 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 check. These are the things that I do want to do when I'm a parent, things like that. So within our marriage, what are some things that we can do to make sure that we stay engaged? So we are modeling, as you said, we are modeling to our children ways that are good parent engagement
Hmm.
or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
merit engagement.
So, that's a good question. And I think the best way that I would know to answer that would be to understand, number one, what are each other's values. So I think when we come together, we have different backgrounds, perspectives, desires. A lot of times you ladies are huge into the excitement or the hype of marriage and this new opportunity, and you feel such self-worth, and you're just kind of life, when you think about it from a little girl, was always about the
Yeah,
marriage
for sure.
moments and stuff like that. And then it's like, well, what does it look like after that, right?
Mhm.
And so I think a lot of us as men, we need to make sure we're asking very good questions,
Mm.
to understand you as a woman, of what your values or where you see your life headed. And I think great opportunities for that are being intentional in
Yeah.
the dating scene. Again, that kind of can speak into the engagement piece of, hey, I know we got this going on, or hey, I know that we don't have the money that we really want to spend the time on this date,
Mhm.
but we're going to still make an effort,
Yeah.
to spend with each other to
Yeah,
figure this life out,
prioritize. Yeah.
to
And
prioritize.
and we tried to talk about every time that date nights come up, we try to say this that you can really get creative
Yeah.
with how you spend time together. For example, the other night, we were all with the kids and everybody, we were sitting out by the fire, and then it was bedtime. We sent them to bed, and then you and I stayed out there for another hour or so. We did not say, "Hey, let's make a date out of this." It was such an organic moment,
Mhm.
and it was really precious that we sat and we talked, and I mean, like, about deep stuff, and you even brought up, you're like, fire just bring out the best conversations, and
Yeah.
it's true. But again, the it just kind of organically happened, and you
Maybe
can
maybe maybe we should have a fire in the background of our podcast right now,
maybe that's what we need to do.
you know?
Yeah.
Burn the
But
house down.
yeah, let's not do that. However, just being creative about that intentionality of communicating. Again, maybe it's just after dinner, you sit on the couch. Maybe it's you lay the kids down and you look at each other and you pray together or whatever that looks
Well,
like
yeah,
for
and I
you.
think you're saying that because, at least for me, when I hear about these Facebook and Instagram things, I don't really understand it very well, but I'm trying. I've got one now. And I think what can happen that you hear talked about a lot is everybody showing their bests.
Yeah.
And so whenever that's happening, you can feel this inadequacy, or the fact that you've just got to hit a home run
Hmm.
each time you commit to something. So date night's got to be this lavish, grandiose thing. And not that we want to dumb it down, but I think what we're after are the base hits, right?
Yeah.
The base hits in life. I'm talking because the Rangers just won the World Series. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're excited
Rangers. Woo
about
woo.
this time of life. But anyway, so talking baseball, the base hits matter. And yes, we all love the home runs and this, that, and the other, but I think life is so much more about consistency
Hmm.
and trying to, step through chapter by chapter versus
Mhm.
having to sum it all up
Yeah, that's good.
in a full novel and
Mhm.
whatnot. And so when we date, when you guys decide to go on a date, just don't make it so much pressure. Take the pressure off of
Mhm.
yourselves and know that it's not about having to spend $200 on a dinner or,
Yeah.
go into some movie, because the movies are great, but you're not going to be able to engage each other very often. You
Tip,
know,
just start a fire in your
start a
backyard
fire
or your fireplace now that it's getting
or right
cooler
here
here
in
in
this
Texas.
room that we're in right
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
just hey, start fires.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And I think another thing too is that we can look beyond just our own interests. You just mentioned the excitement for girls and things like that. And we get excited about home decor or shopping,
Y'all
like
get excited about a lot of stuff.
well, sure. But also for we're just speaking from experience here, just getting excited also about the things that interest you, like the spouse, the person that you are, if you're a guy listening or whatever, your wife. And a prime example is just a sport like golf or pickleball or whatever, shooting, like going to the gun range or whatever it is, shooting range, whatever the heck that's called, or hunting even. I don't know. But taking an interest in the other person's interests to me can really go a long way because you still end up spending quality time together. And it's not like, hey, that's your activity. This is my activity. And then there's like division and separation.
Whoa, hold on, babe. Let's just say you ever get into knitting.
Oh, yeah.
I think
Well,
I'm gonna struggle with
yeah.
that, but
But maybe you could.
I'll try
I don't
one. I'm
know.
gonna try one
When
time.
we're old and we're sitting here in these little recliners and we're just knitting, watching the news, that's just
Mhm.
what we're gonna get into. See? You look really cute doing it.
Yeah.
By the way, if you want to watch Josh, just this fake knitting that he just did, you can go to YouTube, Dr. Kelly Cagle, and then hit the subscribe button and you can watch all these episodes. Josh is still knitting, you guys. But you can watch these episodes live. We won't show where he's talking about starting the fire pit. Maybe one day we'll do it outside and
Let's
we'll
do
just
it.
take all our gear outside and we can sit around by the fire with you guys. But you can head over to YouTube and watch these episodes as well. But now switching over to parent engagement,
Mm,
right? So we're talking about us staying engaged with one
sure.
another, and which 100% bleeds into our parenting.
Yeah.
And let's talk a little bit about engagement with our
Yeah,
kiddos.
absolutely. I definitely think you're right when it comes to our kids. They're not stupid.
Hmm.
I mean, even 5-year-olds can impress us
Yep.
when it comes to the recognition of what's going on or if somebody's okay. Little 5-year-olds can
Hmm.
know if mom and dad seem like that they're okay. And so you're absolutely right when we think about our kiddos, how important it is for us to make sure that we are having a healthy
Hmm.
marriage, healthy life, healthy self. And I would first say that the best way to probably do that is to spend time
Yep.
with the Lord each and every day if you
Hmm.
can. Well, you can, but making
Yeah.
those decisions and but then stepping into the thoughts of how can we engage our kids. Those are things that I'm still trying to figure out. I wish I had every answer for us to list out sell it for the
Yeah.
world to know
Right.
that
We'd be billionaires
these
by
are the
now.
formulas and stuff to have perfect kiddos
Yep.
and all those things. But I do believe that our kids can tell fake.
Yeah.
They can tell fake so well. They can smell it a mile away. And I think with the more in which we engage them, the more comfortable that they feel to be real,
Hmm.
the more comfortable they feel to tell us the deep, the dark, and the
Yeah.
ugly. I mean,
Hmm.
you talk about this fire. I think about the time that we were asking some questions. I love asking questions,
Hmm.
and I was asking them the other day when we were sitting around the fire, what is one secret that you guys have that you've not shared with anybody?
Hmm.
And it was so fun to listen
So
to.
cute.
And, another thing would be I love what you did with the conversation starters. Everybody, I believe that these are not the only conversations that could ever be had, but they are starting points that if you don't have those,
Mhm.
please reach out and check that out, because all that we're trying to do is equip parents, individuals with some tools
Yeah.
to having healthy relationships,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So,
And so in addition to that, I do also want to say that on Saturday, this Saturday, November 11th, is Mom IQ.
yeah,
And that's where we're meeting at the Modern Barn in Burleson, Texas. It's just the cutest little slice of heaven. It's just so peaceful out there. But we are getting together. I have wrapped myself with a whole bunch of amazing professionals, and we're going to be talking about real life stuff that moms deal with. So,
yeah,
as you're talking about these conversations with our kiddos, it's important for us moms because, the other day, even at soccer, the team lost. And I made the observation and I told you, look at all of these boys, and they were grown. They were
yeah.
like 12, 13, 14-year-old boys. They were all sad because they just lost the game. But what did they do? Ran into all of their mama's arms, boy
Hmm.
after boy after boy. And so, moms, we really are that shelter, and dads are too, but mamas are the
No,
ones
we'd have
that come
told
to
them,
the
"Hey, boys,
embrace. Yeah.
you should have made that
But
goal.
mamas
You
mamas
deserve
come
you
to that
deserve to lose."
we come to those embrace moments, and so whenever you are feeling discouraged, mom, that you're just drained or you want to be, we are about a few things. We are going to be equipping you with tools to raise healthy kids academically, emotionally, and physically. So we're going to gather, we are going to learn, and we're going to recharge right before the holidays. So if you haven't grabbed your ticket yet, you can go to drkellycagle.com/momiq, grab your ticket, grab a girlfriend, a sister, a cousin, a neighbor, whoever it is, or come by yourself. It's going to be a beautiful time for us to really be intentional about these moments of engagement with our kids that are
Yeah,
so vital, so essential, that can really slip away.
right.
And
No,
that's what we're wanting to avoid.
yeah, I hope you guys or you gals have a great time out
Thank
there,
you.
and guys, please support your wives in this time. It's short. It's a one day. They're going to get such a blessing, a big deep breath
Yeah, for
of
sure.
just fresh air, fresh perspective, to engage you. So what
Yeah.
goes around comes around. But yeah, your question, going back to the kiddos and what can help us really do life well with them, I think is also understanding, well, what hinders them.
Yeah.
What is a big a deterrent. And I think so many times in our lives, it can be, number one, as a parent and a father, it's disengaging our work and engaging our
That's good.
kids in that environment. Number two, I think, is understanding that technology is a good thing, but it's there, and what we see in the world today, to just kind of create this solitude or
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
this perspective. When you go out to dinner or to lunch, you see so many families with their phones out, and they're all on their own phone. Some of them will have their own headphones on and watching this, that, or the
Mhm.
other, and that has a place for certain moments,
Mhm.
maybe. But I really believe that we have opportunities, even in the food, in eating,
Yeah.
to really ask some great questions,
Mhm.
to take those moments as moments of
Mhm.
opportunity, and how can we do life.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes with that, it goes back to people just probably are needing help
Mhm.
understanding, how can I get my family from here we are now to the hope would have
Mhm.
in a real long-term deep relationship.
You brought up um phones, technology, and Gab Wireless. I went to an event a few weeks ago with them, and I got a hat.
Yeah.
As a I'm an affiliate for them because I'm a huge support. We are both huge supporters of what Gab Wireless has provides. Really, their product, which is just safe technology for kids. If you want to learn more, you can actually head over to my website and go at the bottom of my website. There's one tab that says promo codes. Hit on that and go to Gab Wireless to learn more about that. But that's beside the point. The hat that I got from them said disconnect to connect.
Mm,
How deep is that?
that's good.
I know. And a lot of times, I think that people go to their phones out of boredom, out of like, oh my gosh, I have 2 seconds. I'm at a red light and I'm guilty here. And I really try not to, but a lot of times I'm just checking a text message, whatever. But you just grab your phone real quick for the 2 minutes that you have at a red light that you've got to respond to this thing, whatever. You can't just not while you're driving for 20 minutes, not even touch your phone. I can't. I don't. Not while I'm driving. I'm just saying it's pretty pitiful. The bound um lack of boundaries that we have with technology right now. And I'm included here. I'm not saying that I've got this figured out. I'm just saying it is constantly on my mind and something that I want to definitely show the kids as a health. You can have a healthy relationship with technology, and in the evenings, and you mentioned dinner time. That is a time that we have a no phone rule at the table, and there are times that we want to check the weather or do something real quick, and we get called out every single time that we pull out our phones at the table. Why? The kids are expecting
Well, we've
this,
we've
my
set a
our eyes.
value. I mean, the value is guys, when we're together, we want to, make the most of this. Now,
Mhm.
they're off right now, even as we're recording, probably on some screen time and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But inside these moments, we just know that we, as the family, as the leaders, if we're not going to have a vision of how we're going to handle technology, then it's going to handle us. And
Mhm.
our
That's good.
kids are going to not set boundaries. So that's why it is so important for us to set them for them
Mhm.
until they understand how to take and be responsible with the things they've been given. Because, number one, their identity is not in technology, their identity is not in what their friends say about them or what Instagram or Facebook or anything TikTok is saying. Their identity is first and foremost in what we have assigned their value as parents. And
Mhm.
then from there, it is to try to instill confidence in who they are in the Lord. And I believe that the better that we engage our boys and our daughters into what that should look like from each perspective as a husband and as a wife or a father and a mother, then they're able to understand more what their future
Yeah.
should look like. And I always fall back on single families,
Single
that
parent.
single parents that there is so much that you're carrying in your life right now on trying to raise kiddos, have a job, and we are always praying for
Yeah.
single parents that God would just give you a special anointing, a special blessing to be able to still do these very same things that we're talking about. You're not incapable. You are in a season right now that might feel tough compared to some others that you want to look at, but don't compare.
Yeah.
Just take the opportunities that you have right now and make the most of them. Let them know
Mhm.
what you're struggling with, if it's time or being present or this, that, or the other. They already probably know, but
Mhm.
it's even good to hear, so that you can get on the same playing field with them. But be that parent for them and be willing to go into these moments of vulnerability,
Mhm.
because our kids need to understand they're going to find out one way or the other whether you're that mom and dad aren't perfect.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a certain age in life and realized, oh dang, my dad's not perfect, and what that does to you. Because at some point when you're young, you're growing up thinking your parents hung the moon.
I
We
hope our
all have
kids
that
still think
thought.
that.
So, being vulnerable and helping them
Mhm.
understand these are opportunities as we engage them that help propel them forward.
Yeah, I think it's super important to show our emotions,
Yeah.
to let them know sometimes whenever our oldest Levi, he loves attention to us a different degree than the others, probably because he's a little older, he understands more. But there are sometimes just last week I was like, wow, I have so much going on in my head. So I'm sorry. As in, like, I just want you to understand that I'm not being this way or short or not giving you the attention that you desire intentionally. I'm not doing these things or lacking in this area. I'm just like I have so much on my mind, and he's like, "Yeah, I can tell." And I said, "Well, and dad too, you know." And he's like, "Yeah, I can tell." And so it's good for them. Guess what? They're going to go through that as well at
Mhm.
one point in their life. At some point, they're going to experience that. And then they're going to remember, oh, I remember when my mom told me, I wonder if this is what they were going through. I wonder if this is what was happening at her job, you know? And so it's just real life.
Yeah.
It's authenticity that the kids don't have to. That's why I love talking to them about money management, about investment. We were just teaching the stock market to the kids the other day at dinner about the stock market. You know, all these conversations that they have to have, that goes back to this lifelong learning. That is the motto, the mission, the vision of everything that we create. Everything is centered around this idea of using daily moments as learning opportunities, because these kids, and ourselves included, will always be learning as long as we have that attitude, that mindset of how can I learn right here? How can I learn in this moment?
Yeah. No, I think that's very good. So, parents, we're here with you, doing life, knowing that we're going to have some good days, we're going to have some bad days, our ups and downs. But I think as long as, the Bible says, without a vision, people perish. And so we want to cast in our minds and in your minds right now that vision for engagement, because we believe that if you can carry that word and have that at the forefront of your minds, that when you step into the home every day, you're putting on that mentality of how am I going to engage my wife or
Hmm.
husband and engage my family to the best of our abilities. We
Hmm.
understand there's going to be times we're tired or we feel weak or where we just don't feel like that there's anything left in the tank, but I think that that's where we have to understand who we are to dig deep, because if we live life always feeling like we're empty, then the
Hmm.
more in which then we're never going to be full.
Yeah.
And I think we're after filling the tanks of our kiddos, because I don't know if there's one parent out there that doesn't wish that they could have a great relationship with their kid, not to be
Hmm.
their best friend, but to be a person of influence in their life, to where eventually it's like a boomerang. That kid comes back around to, hey,
Hmm.
mom or dad, I saw how you grew me up in this way, and help me understand how you did it,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
those are the pieces that we're wanting to instill now, because we will get them back.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to close with Jesus's words, no better words. And he said this in Matthew 22:25. A house divided against itself will not stand. So we're here to help you and ourselves as we talk about this parent engagement, that you fight against this engagement as you plug into one another. We will see you guys next week.